just mic'd up with Mikey Mahtook. Got the boys in. I got Lloyd. We got J Mitch. We got Jackie Boyd.
He tried to jump up, and he might have knocked it in.
Good timing. Let's go. What a start to the Monday. I mean, I'm from Lafayette. My boys will come in and say,
oh, God. So me and Joe on the ground. I got Joe in the headlock. And he's sitting there. He's punching me in the stomach, like, punching me.
Here, is everyone sitting around? Who here thinks Ochenko can practice today after having 5 full beers? And he goes, Chad Jones, right? Chad Jones.
6 minutes.
For 7 minutes, right? Chad's like, no, man, I don't think Ochenko can practice today. And I was like, I look back, I'm like, Jesus Christ. I saw you there. You were more fucked up than me.
On the spirit plane had some issues, I think. She was sleep farting.
you heard her or you just thought it was her?
I sat right next to her and smelled it.
Whoa. What was that?
Good show.
Now, when you do go to spring training, are you gonna bring your chinchilla and your turtle?
My dad tell you about it?
The SEC is, God, they hate fat people. I mean, I get crushed for that. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, man.
Hey, just the South, bro. You got a bunch of food down here. Like they should.
Players. Look at Lloyd.
You know what, Lloyd?
You're looking for a recruiting coordinator, coach. I'm here.
He's like, I'll piss my pants right now.
No way.
We're wearing gray pants, long gray pants. He goes, I'll piss my pants right now.
Hello. Welcome back to Mik'd Up. Today is Wednesday, January 1st. Happy New Year to everybody. We're very excited to start off 2025 with you today on this beautiful Wednesday night, evening, I guess would be considered. Before we start, obviously we want to mention the obvious tragedy that happened early this morning in New Orleans, Louisiana. Obviously our thoughts and prayers are with all the families that have been affected by that tragedy, and our thoughts and prayers are with everybody in the city of New Orleans, state of Louisiana, Notre Dame, Georgia fans who were there in New Orleans that kind of got caught in these crosshairs. Obviously a terrible incident. Things are still in flux, Obviously, there's a lot of new information coming in and out as we go, hour by hour, day by day, minute by minute. And so, all we can say right now, obviously, is it's a tragedy and it's something that should never happen. And our thoughts and prayers are with all of those that were affected by that. Specifically, Jack Besh and his family. Jack's older brother, Tiger, passed away, and that is obviously just one of the many heartaches that these families are going to have to deal with. But this one hits a little bit closer to home for all of us because we got to know Jack, and we know his family, and we know Tiger and all those guys. So our thoughts and prayers are with the families and with Jack Besh and his family especially. With that said, though, we have to continue our conversations on sports. The Sugar Bowl that was supposed to be played tonight is postponed 24 hours until tomorrow night. Now rumors are that both Georgia and Notre Dame would like to have that game moved up. So I think the game is now going to be at 3 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow in New Orleans. The Sugar Bowl is moved to tomorrow, 3 o'clock. Obviously, they are making sure that New Orleans is safe, and I would imagine security is going to be Fort Knox around that area here moving forward. So that's the update. Obviously, the playoffs, the second round quarterfinals of the playoffs continued today. First game was I think it was much needed for the college football playoff because the first three games, the first round was they're all blowouts. There weren't really any tight games. Arizona State Texas game. I think Texas was they're double-digit favorites. Texas started the game. I think they're up 24-8, I believe was the score, and it felt like they were kind of going to run away with it. Well, Arizona State said, "No, so what? Not so much. Not so fast." What?
I think it was 24-5 because the same.
Oh, 24-5. That's what it was. It was 24-5, and Scattaboo. The legend of Scattaboo.
Scattabro.
The Scattabro took the game into his hands. Obviously, he had over, I think, 140, 150 yards rushing. I think he almost had 100 yards receiving. He even threw a 42-yard touchdown pass, which was an awful ball. But actually, it was so bad, it was perfectly placed. If he throws the ball over the top, it's intercepted. But he throws the ball. He throws the slider over the middle of the field, and he actually throws his receiver open. Right, like he throws it to the only green grass, and you can't convince me that he did that on purpose.
No,
his hands are his hands are real tiny. I noticed that when he was like putting his hands up, he has very small hands. Ain't no way that man can throw a football. That's why that ball's going all over the place. He has no idea where that ball's going. Can't grip it. Can't grip that motherfucker.
He's gonna be the worst person to drink a beer with in 4 years.
Oh, dude.
But
listen,
if you thought a high school hero was bad,
listen, he's a college football legend. He's going to be talked about for a really long time. Obviously, like you said, an unbelievable season. He had an unbelievable game. That game was unbelievable. Texas tried to blow it. Arizona State comes all the way back, ties the game. Texas's kicker, Burt Auburn, misses 2 field goals. The last one, as time expires, off the left upright. They go into overtime. Arizona State scores to go up, and then Texas has a 4th and 15. And somehow they let the only deep threat on Texas's offense get behind the defense, and Ewers throws a touchdown pass on 4th and 15 to tie the game. So then Texas has the ball start the second overtime.
Ewers was cooked.
Oh, yeah.
Like a public funeral for the man was happening.
And he made some big throws.
He was almost never going to be let back in Austin. He
No.
was that close.
Right.
It was legitimately that close.
When he threw that ball deep over the middle of the field and it got intercepted, I was like, oh, my God, this is not good. Because you felt like, okay, now if they lose this game, they're going to blame it on him. But then after that, Quinn Ewers made some big throws. He made some timely throws. Obviously, throws a touchdown pass. Then they start the second overtime with the ball. Touchdown pass, first play of the game. First play of that overtime to the tight end.
Terrible production job. Like, you came right out of commercial and they were scoring.
Oh, yeah.
That's somebody.
They're trying to squeeze in that last commercial.
Yeah, that's fireable,
get your money.
Fireable offense.
Yeah,
no, you're good.
Yeah.
We got that all state at.
Not great. But so that's how they score. And then Arizona State, and then they get that 2-point conversion. Arizona State gets the ball. And honestly, felt like they were gonna go down there. I think didn't their quarterback get no, I think that was earlier in the game.
That was the first overtime.
Yeah, when he had the
scramble.
15-yard scramble, that was the first overtime. And then so I think they get a couple yards, and they throw a ball on the sideline. The cornerback intercepts for Texas, ends the game. Big win for Texas. Obviously, they survive, move on to the next round, and they are playing the winner of this game that we are currently watching,
Which will be
and we're going to talk about, which is Ohio State and Oregon. Ohio State is whooping that ass. It is 31-0 with 6 minutes to go in the second quarter. Ohio State's got the ball again. Dry on the other, like on the Oregon side of the 50, they just got a first down. This is not good for Oregon. Oregon is getting their doors blown off.
23.5 though.
Yeah, I think you probably should do it again.
I might have to.
I think you're going to have to double down on that because boy, they look like they're about to score. Wait till they score another touchdown and then do it.
Yeah, take out. I guess once they figured out to give the ball to your best player.
Yeah, Jeremiah Smith seems like, and the Henderson, the running back, just had a 66-yard touchdown run. Ibuka is balling out too. So they have both receivers are killing it. Both of them have scored touchdowns.
The two best players on their team.
Yep.
And now they finally give them the ball.
decided to give them the ball.
I'm not sure that was they figured it out. I think that's the maturation of a young kid kind of coming into his own a little bit. You got to remember, man, like somebody like him who's 6'3", 225. Hey, I promise you, when he was in high school, there was no need to move him around. There was no need to put him in motion. There was no need to find matchups for him. It was, where is he? Run the route, we'll throw it to you. I don't care who's on you. So now that he's in this situation where the competition is up a little bit, they kind of brought him along. The playbook gets learned a little more. We're going to start putting you in these spots where we're going to motion you and move you around and let you do these things and learn and play fast and do those things. And now that he's doing that, bro, he looks like a baby Julio Jones running around on the field right now. It's crazy that this man is a freshman right now.
Yeah, he's a monster. And that's a good point because if you remember, like, in high school football, all you have to do, if you're just better athletes than the other guy going, you just run down the field. The prime example, let me tell you the prime example of that.
Right here.
Jordan Jefferson, and remember Timothy Moulton? The wide receiver Tim Moulton?
Yeah.
He was a four-star wide receiver from Destrehan. Jordan Jefferson would literally drop back, roll out. Tim Moulton would just run all the way down the field, and Jordan Jefferson would just throw the ball as far as he can, and nobody could catch Tim Moulton. He'd catch it, and he'd score a touchdown. Right? And, like, as a high school receiver being that athletic and being that much better than everybody else, you don't learn the route tree. Because you don't need to do it. Because you just, hey, let me just run straight. Let me make this easy. Just throw the ball to me. I'll just beat him.
You run the routes, but you don't have to be the one doing all the motioning and the timing and the footing and the steps and all of that stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Let me do one of these.
Yeah.
Hand.
Oh, yeah. Hand up in the air?
Yeah.
Hand to God?
Yep. Open.
Yeah, I'm open. Hey, once I do this, just throw it to me. But it seems like he's kind of figuring out, like you said, the maturation of a young wide receiver. Seems like Ohio State, something clicked last week because they are balling.
And Go Tigers 195 exclamation point in the chat. Maybe the Michigan loss was the best thing that could have happened to them.
And you're right. Maybe it was. Look, because they lost to Oregon by 1 point early in the game, and then they got embarrassed by Michigan. And I think he's right. Hey, boys.
Hold on.
Let's take a step back. We got is this who we want to be? Like, this is us? No, we're good, coach. All right, show me.
We're better athletes than everybody
else.
Okay,
that's
what did
that's
I
more
pay
like
for?
That's more like it.
This looks like the scorched earth tour right now. I guess it's kind of crazy watching it. And I kind of talked about it on Monday. I'm like, man, I don't know if they can bottle that up and show up again with it. Ooh, it's gonna be tough because I mean they just looked like they had a different mindset than anybody else that was on the field last week or 2 weeks ago, and it looks the exact same thing right now.
Let me ask you this: do you think Oregon makes this? Not saying comes back and wins it by any means, but do you think they make this kind of a game?
I mean,
when I say kind of a game, like
does it get back within 2 touchdowns? Or
yeah,
two scores?
like do they make it 31-21? Like, oh, it's 10 points. Is maybe kind of interesting.
If he misses this field goal, yes.
Yeah, but they need a big swing. They need a big turnover.
I mean, look, they stopped them. They didn't score a touchdown here.
That's what I'm saying. If they miss this, I'll live bet it.
And right down the middle.
And he did not.
No, he didn't.
Right down the middle.
And he did not.
34, maybe 34-21. Maybe make the 2-score game.
If they're not gonna score again.
Huh? No. But maybe they score. I don't know who got the ball to start the game. I think maybe Ohio State did. So maybe just do something to kind of make it close. I don't know. We'll see.
Play. Like
they're getting their ass kicked.
I mean, we literally just saw it happen with the previous game where it took one play.
Yeah.
And then you have Scatterbro, and it's like a little bit of momentum is all they needed to be able to make this thing competitive, because that game was kind of like Texas was kind of playing with their food a little bit, and then they took Simmons out the game for some reason. Like, he just stopped playing at the defensive end that should have gone to LSU, but he's at Texas, and
Doing really
Colin
well.
Simmons has 9 sacks and as a freshman. That would be nice. But once they got a little bit of momentum, and it was just 2 points because they, tried to another 4th and 2 that they had. They had the ball inside the red zone 3 times. They didn't score 3 times, and they get a safety. And it's like, hold on.
Yeah.
We've been right here, boys.
Yeah.
So you just need one momentum play in college to kind of get you right.
It shows you how much they don't trust their kicker. They don't ever kick. They hate their kicker. They can't kick.
Scatterbro'd.
They can't kick. Like, I think.
Oh, do you see the 38-yarder he made? Like, squeaked in.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because of accuracy; it was distance.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's they had a kicking issue, but it almost didn't matter. They almost got through. They almost made it to the semifinals. Kudos to Arizona State. Everybody was like, "Oh, Arizona State. They were the last rated team. They were predicted to finish last in the Big 12. They are a team that got into.
Talk about them Devils now.
They're a team that got into the postseason. They got a bye in the postseason because of all the other carnage that happened in college football, and everybody thought they didn't deserve to be there. Then you watch the first round of games, and those teams that people didn't think deserved to be there got blown out. And so now you have Arizona State, and everybody's thinking it's going to be the same old thing. And kudos to them for keeping that game close and going to overtime and making it interesting, because that's been the best game so far in the playoffs.
Yeah, it was by far the best game. That's not even a question. But let me ask you, do you think that they kept the game close? Or do you think it's more of what Lloyd talked about when he says that kind of Texas kind of played with their food?
Oh, no, I think.
Watching that game in the first half, bro, everything that they tried to do was hard.
No doubt.
It was hard. Nothing was coming.
No doubt. I 100% believe Texas kind of blew that game. They kind of gave that game away, let them back in the game. Yeah. But kudos for Arizona State for doing it in the second half and making it.
For continuing to fight.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly. Making it a game, right? I think talent-wise, Texas is head and shoulders. They should have beat them by double-digit points. They didn't, but kudos to Arizona State for going out there and at least making it entertaining for all of us to watch. Scatterboo is a little dramatic. I think it's a little too much.
I've never seen somebody more used on television than Scatterboo. Like, it was like
he knew where every camera was.
Every camera.
You know why he was throwing up so much? It's because he was breathing in his own mouthpiece the entire time. Like, every time he took it out of his mouth, it was in his eye. Like, your breath don't smell good, cuz.
I was kind of floored by that. But I don't really. Was he? Like, is it gonna come out that he was sick? I kind of low key hope he was sick, because I don't understand how he was struggling so much to kind of like stay in the game and come off so much.
I think he was. So. I think that was the conversation. But maybe, I don't know.
Mikey and I were talking about this before the show a little bit. Why is he being celebrated for being out of shape? Because he runs hard?
Well, so they did talk about this, which I still don't really subscribe to at all. But they did talk about how, I guess, through the latter part of the year, I don't even know what it was, but
he didn't play.
Arizona may be the last time that he played in the fourth quarter because of how they were beating people. I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
Get on the treadmill.
They talked about that. That's the only part I heard.
Yeah, they made a lot. That's what I'm saying. They made a lot of excuses for the man.
He had 30-something carries though. Good for him. Great game for him. Legendary game for him.
Yeah.
Good for Texas for moving on. Also, good for LSU. LSU had obviously the first game or not the first game, but they had the 2:00 game before that playoff game last night.
Oh,
before the Penn
Alabama
State Boise
game
State
was brutal.
Yeah, Penn State Boise State. Penn State just put on Boise.
Yeah, nobody gave Gentry any love for running for over 100 yards.
He did. I know. He had 30-something carries, 32 carries, I think, to get there, but he got there. I think it was the second running back to rush for 100 yards against Penn State all year. He had an unbelievable career. Scalaboo thinks he's the best running back in the country. I think that's Gentry is the best running back in the country.
Thank God that story's over. You'll never hear from Scalaboo again.
I know. He'll maybe be a fullback on a practice squad somewhere in the NFL for a year. Maybe
might recover a fumble as a long snapper.
Yeah, maybe so. We'll see.
I don't know.
We'll see what happens. I mean, listen,
he's really good.
He's a grinder. I believe he's gonna at least make it to a camp somewhere. A guy that does that and that kind of wills his way to things, I think he's gonna end up on the team somewhere. But we'll see.
Hold on, Jared, Mikey, 3, 2, 1. What team do you think drafts him? 3,
Chargers.
2, 1.
Chargers.
Patriots.
Detroit.
Harbaugh, dude. Harbaugh. Detroit doesn't use a fullback.
They might.
Harbaugh, no doubt.
You're gonna see Scadaboo.
I think the Tar Heels are going to draft him.
Yeah.
Bill's bringing him to North Carolina.
NIL deal.
Yeah. Hey, no doubt he's going. He's no doubt in my mind he's going. to the
Another
Chargers.
ham sandwich and a concussion, and he'll be happy to go to work.
Let's get to the
Do
LSU
some
game.
people like just have concussions like permanently, like their entire like he was?
Oh yeah, he was knocking some cobwebs out of his head a little bit,
Does he do that all the time?
or maybe he's just
Little skits.
maybe he was sick
How he
and he was
plays,
very
man.
lightheaded. You know.
Tim Riggins.
I don't know. He is a concussion every play, and so is the safety for Texas.
Going toe to toe.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that guy got knocked out early in the game when he walked off the field. I was like, this guy's not coming back. Then all of a sudden, he has another one where it was definitely targeting.
That's what I wanted to bring up.
1,000,000% targeting. And they said, no, listen, and now I'm okay with them not calling targeting, honestly, right? Because you don't, unless it was like, hey, let me go as a missile and leave the ground and let me take this guy's head off. Like,
It's me or him.
you don't want a game to be. He ran into him basically. He didn't really just helmet to helmet, but it was targeting by letter of the law. But that guy is a walking concussion too. Now, the guy's a walk-on. Walk-on. He ended up becoming a starter. You know, Texas guy that had the big special with him and Ewers and who was the other quarterback they were playing against? Klubnik. When they played Clemson.
Yeah.
Ewers and Klubnik played against each other in high school. That guy was on Klubnik's team. The whole deal, right?
He's
So,
like if Stelz was worse.
Yeah, if Stelz was a walk-on and just playing really hard.
But real quick, like before we get to LSU, I want to obviously because that game was awesome. But are you in favor, both you, Jared, Mikey, of not calling it there? Like that was clearly like by the letter of the law that it is targeting. But I put myself in the shoes of the fan of that team,
And it would suck.
and it would suck.
No
but
doubt.
As watching as a third party, like don't care, don't call it.
Right.
Let's get to overtime.
Are we talking about the pick? Are we talking about the pick?
No. We're talking about the this is like the end of the regulation.
This is right before regulation ended. It was Texas. It was Arizona State being able to drive down to score.
Yeah.
And then they called a targeting, or it was a targeting, not a targeting, or was it the interception?
No, because the receiver caught it and he got hit
By Texas, right?
by
the
Texas.
white kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was a fourth down. They ended up punting. It wasn't a turnover.
I
But
missed
if- but if-
that play. I missed that play.
Oh, okay. But
Okay.
Regardless, there was that targeting ruled on the or like they went to review for targeting and to review if it was caught or not. Catch was ruled, and it was clearly, as they were saying in the booth by the letter of the law, this is targeting. He led with his head, and it was hit in the upper, head and neck area. And he's like, I don't like it. Put the guy that reviews it in a bad spot, to where he was like, by rule it should be targeting, and then they come back and say, catch, no targeting, and everybody was like, okay, but I'd rather see this game play out.
So that was
I don't know why we can't remember it perfectly.
But it wasn't a first down. It would have been. That was third down. It was like 3rd and 15 or whatever it was.
It would have ended the game.
That would have put them in. That would have given them a first down. And that would have let them get. Well, I don't know. Their field goal kicker stinks, but at least it would have given them a chance. They wouldn't have punted. But and then Texas field goal kicker stinks too. Well, poor guy. Good for him that they won.
That's the last hug he'll get from that
Last
from-
motivational speech he'll get from
Sarkisian.
Sarkisian ever. But okay, let's get to the LSU game. I know a lot of people want to hear us talk about the LSU game, or the few that are listening to us on New Year's Day, because it's we're earlier than normal. New Year's Day, a lot of football on TV, but you still got us. LSU football, playing the bowl game, get their 9th win of the season. May not look great. Obviously, it's not up to the expectations and up to what everybody wanted going into the season. But ending the season with a win, 9-4, looks a whole hell of a lot better than 8-5. Winning a bowl game again, Brian Kelly obviously puts a lot of emphasis on the bowl games, which I appreciate, right? That is, you've earned the right to play in a bowl game. You want to end the season off strong. You had a lot of guys decide to play that are not going to be here next year. Defense kind of got gashed a little bit. They had some moments, but they got gashed a good amount for the game. Offense looked great. Nussmeier looked great, minus the one throw. He got fooled by the defensive end dropping in coverage. That was bad on his part. But other than that, he was pretty flawless. He was making unbelievable throws, dropping arm angle down low, up top, getting up over top of guys. Amazing to see. Amazing to see what a healthy Chris Hilton does for LSU.
Wow.
I mean, that guy
Loves a bowl game.
Listen, unbelievable sliding catch.
Didn't jump.
Didn't jump, stay on the ground. But like deep ball that way, unbelievable sliding catch. Bad, not Nuss's greatest throw. Underthrew him just a touch. But he looked really good. Obviously, Trey'Dez Green looked like a monster. Looks like he's kind of figuring out the offensive side of it. Blocking, obviously, I didn't lock in on him at the end of the line of scrimmage and what he was doing on the blocking side. But
good enough.
Running backs ran the ball hard. Obviously, Baylor isn't the same defense that LSU has faced throughout the course of the year as far as pass rushing goes, but the offensive line, for the most part, held up. I think some of those young guys got some valuable experience, and I thought it was a really well-played game, especially offensively. And I think they probably left some points on the board, or at least the margin of victory should have been larger. What were y'all thoughts on the game? What'd y'all like, what y'all didn't like?
We can start off with the offensive side of the ball. I think there's a lot to like, a lot to look forward to, and a lot of optimism that will go into the offensive side of the ball next year when they kick it off for the 2025 season. Nuss looked great. Nuss played great, obviously, besides the one play, but who the hell cares about that? At the end of the day, we wanted to kind of see him go out there and do his thing and kind of let it all hang out, and he did that at a very high clip, so that was impressive to see. He will be adding more pieces offensively next year, so it'll be fun to see where this thing can go for them offensively. I think when you look at the other side of the ball, it was unfortunate to see Witt go down with the injury that he went down with. Hopefully he's able to recover correctly and be ready to go for the beginning of the season next year. But I mean, you kind of expected some of this to kind of happen on the defensive end. You had some young guys, you were going to insert some guys who were not used to playing. That goes for some communication issues, kind of makes it a little tough. So I'm not surprised you saw that, but I still felt like the team came out and handled a team who was, if I remember correctly, wasn't Baylor favorite to win that ball game? Handled a team who was playing really well at the end of the year, and you won that game convincingly because of how good you were offensively and how efficient you were offensively, and you were able to kind of get some key stops and do some key things defensively as well.
Yeah, they look good. Witt Weeks, the injury is a dislocated ankle. I guess that's officially out.
I think it was officially out whenever they popped it back in.
Well, right, but
live television.
it was, which was wild at the timing of the camera. Usually, they don't show those type of gruesome injuries. Where I was watching the game with Andrew, my brother-in-law, and some friends, and
Andrew has some takes,
and we were watching it, and I'm looking at it, and Andrew goes, "Oh boy, I don't think his ankle's supposed to be going that way." And then I really kind of zoomed back into it. I'm like, "Oh yeah, his ankle is going opposite direction of where it's supposed to be." And then they pan to the booth, and the booth pans back, and the camera zooms in literally at the exact time that they're setting the ankle and putting the ankle back in socket. And I'm like, damn. You can see it pop, and you can see Witt's reaction go, oh, that feels better. That feels better. They put him in the air cast. Obviously, he goes out. Brian Kelly came out, I think, today and says that he will be ready to go by spring ball. He believes.
He would play today.
Yeah. But I think on the other side of Witt, I think it shows you the type of leadership he's got, what happened with the team, and the team all going out there all going talk to him. I think that is you love to see that. And to me, that bodes well next year for our defense, one, and for just the team in general because of that type of leadership with him and Nuss. And you have captains on both sides of the football, and everybody seems like they kind of have the same goals in mind, which always is a big thing going forward. So defense played well. Look, Devon Keys played great, pick 6. He looked good. Yeah. It seems like he's going to be the next guy in the middle with Witt. Tylen Singleton, did y'all watch him?
Motor.
Run down on the kickoff return? That's a linebacker.
That's 318 speed, brother.
That's a linebacker, dude. He ran all the way down. He's the one who
slept. You got that too, Lloyd?
Yep.
He's the one who did high fives with Xavier Thomas to score, but he caught up to him. Now, obviously, Xavier Thomas probably throttled down a touch.
Yeah, we were going in different gears.
He's excited, isn't he? He's exciting when he gets the ball and kickoff and punt returns.
That way from the game was like I don't think a lot of people believed in LSU and like what to expect or if they won. Like it was painted with a very broad brush of this game doesn't matter, and which is kind of in my mind saying it doesn't matter if LSU loses. It's not that big a deal. Look at what they did in the portal. Look forward to next year.
But it matters to the players, dude.
It clearly matters to the players, and Brian Kelly is very good about these bowl games, which you could say is a big game or not. But in my mind, bowl game's a big game. So he's a good big game coach for LSU so far. And the other thing is you forget that SEC versus the Big 12, if they're both trying, That was the bigger difference. Like the SEC speed. When you have linebackers running with kick returners, and there's not a Baylor player in the picture. It's like, Baylor found out pretty quick, like, oh my God, this is a little bit different.
Listen, defense, like I said, we talked about the young guys. Defense got gashed. I think their quarterback threw for like 440 yards.
Fine.
Whatever. They were behind. They had to go and do the things they needed to do. But you had
DJ Pickett waiting.
You have a lot of guys. You had a lot of guys make some plays. Obviously, Devon Keys made some plays. You had some young guys get valuable experience in the back end of the secondary. Look, kudos to Baylor, too. They made a lot of contested catches. You know, it wasn't – I mean, now there was a lot of soft coverage off. They say we don't want to get beat over the top. And you saw them catch a lot of balls underneath. But then you saw them catch a lot of contested passes, and that's, kudos to them. It wasn't bad coverage. It was just good plays by them on some of those balls. But offensively, man, Aaron Anderson looked good. Obviously, the fumble, the drop in the end zone. He could tell he kind of tried to keep his feet in, kind of lost control, like lost concentration on the ball. Who was calling the game?
I didn't listen to it because I was doing the stream.
Because the guy who was calling the game said that, man, it looks like he put too much air underneath that. If you just, I was like, hey, brother, there's a linebacker in front of him, buddy.
But then they cut to the second camera. It's like, that's a perfect throw.
That was a perfect throw. And the ball was not too high. It was, if you ask Aaron Anderson, he said, I need to catch that.
Yeah, it was the feet. What you saw on the wild Nuss throw where he spun out the pocket and just there was nobody in the picture whenever he let that ball go, and Aaron Anderson gets to like the toe tap on the sidelines.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, like when Nuss threw it, I was like, oh no. That was one of those that Aaron Anderson double toe tap, Tony toes, gets in there, and he tried to do it again on the touchdown catch. I can't fault him for that. That's trying to make a perfect play.
And then the ball over the middle, the big long play, and then he fumbled. I mean, it was an unfortunate.
The
guy
usage
came
rate
from
was
the
very
opposite
high.
end. Huh?
The usage rate was very high.
No doubt. They look good. Offensively, they look good. Trey'Dez Green obviously looks like a monster. Caden Durham.
Okay.
He had, I think, almost 5 yards a carry. Josh Williams last game at LSU looked great. All in all, I think it was very encouraging to see those guys because you have a lot of help coming in with the guys that they played there. Jay, what was your take on that?
Yeah, the way they. No, yeah, that's what the way they finished the game was great. There's so many guys that are coming in, and to me, it's like one of those things where it's like, all right, well, we saw what we saw offensively, and obviously a lot of those guys will be back next year, and it's like, but there's also a nice influx of guys coming into that picture. So it's crazy, like, how is that going to fit? I don't really expect it to like take a step back, but you also didn't go get all those guys for no reason. So like, how is it going to fit? What are the pieces going to look like? How are you going to play the puzzle part of it? You do have a ton of options, but there's only one football. Right? The other side of it for me is, we talked about it, and I just mentioned it, and I thought like this goes through my mind, but it's like you got two heartbeats, right, that are on your defense that both went through probably the toughest athletic moments of their lives, right? Where you got Whitweeks going through the injury that he's gone through, and you got Harrell, who's going to be rehabbing and going to be fully back from the injury that he's going through. Those are going to be your two leaders on defense. That's a damn good place to start.
No doubt.
And I think that bodes well for that team. It bodes well for that side of the ball. And if you can get guys like that, when you already have a quarterback in place, when you have all these young stars kind of coming up, it could be a dangerous squad next year. Now, where they'll start, who knows? I don't know. But this squad could be a dangerous one to watch. But we already know this is LSU is what they do. It's when are you going to strike, and how can you, when you strike and you get there, will you stay at the top, and will you stay that relevant again?
Yeah, no, 100%. I think, and you've gone through, right? You've gone through an injury. You've recovered from it. You haven't gone through rehab. I've gone through an injury. I've had to rehab through stuff. When you go through that kind of stuff like that Harold Perkins is going through right now, and Witt gets hurt in the bowl game, that rehab itself is kind of motivation, right? So, like, more so for Harold, not having to play for majority of the season, getting to rehab throughout the year, watching the team, and then watching them go in the bowl game and seeing the guys they brought in. I think that's, I think they're both going to come back with that added sense of urgency with the leadership that they have and they bring to the defense. And you're adding a lot of some extreme talent in the back end of the secondary, which is going to be
hey, look, I got no clue what these boys is like. I got no clue what their relationship was like, but I only got to imagine that when Witt's got to go in and do his rehab, and Harold's in there doing his rehab, that's only them two pushing each other to kind of, one, build an even tighter relationship from whatever it is right now, and two, they start to know each other that much better because they're spending that much more time around each other.
Yeah.
That only bodes well for what they're going to be doing defensively as well.
I love spinning the injury into a positive.
No doubt. Well, listen, Witt's injury was like towards the back half of the game, and it was the last game of the season, and he avoided disaster.
Yeah.
Right? And so that one is like,
Honestly,
okay.
it's probably the best case scenario when it comes to that, because if you avoid all of the ligament and all of the tendon and all of that kind of the soft tissue kind of stuff, and it really is just either a break and or a dislocation or something like that, that's a better spot to be, because that's when you can kind of come back and not have to regenerate all that other stuff as well. So that's probably the best, even though it looks more gruesome, that's probably the best spot to be in.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, the first thought that popped into my mind was after I saw him set it, which was fun.
Dislocation.
Yeah, it was dislocation. And well, after I saw it, because I didn't know if it was like a total compound fracture.
Right, but when you saw, because they're not setting a compound fracture.
Exactly. That's not how the world works.
Yeah.
But I thought of Patrick Mahomes whenever he dislocated his knee, and he was able to play like pretty much the next game.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, this won't be as bad of a rehab as a total compound fracture, ligament tears, all those things, like the worst case scenario.
Right, and just naturally after a football season, you're going to have some time off.
Right. Well,
So-
it couldn't happen at a better time.
So I think he's going to be good. Obviously, Harold, ACL, fourth game of the season. ACL injuries now, you saw
of
Zy
nature.
Alexander come back, and the injury that he had later on in the season, and he's in a cornerback
John
position.
Emery.
John Emery. So I think he's been rehabbing. He's a freak athlete. You imagine he's going to recover there and be good. But
on the game, real quick, just
Yep.
because after the Whitweek's injury, and obviously you saw like the entire team come out to the cart, that speaks volumes. I saw Jim Nagy from the Senior Bowl tweet about it. He goes, "I don't think there will be a question about Whitweeks and how he his leadership and what he does in a locker room after seeing that. Like you could pretty much mark that off the draft board. Think you're good there."
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Jim Nagy said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, those are questions that you get asked. But the other thing, just in terms
Did he go to his birthday party?
Right. Like,
Yeah,
I think
I mean,
everybody went.
Yeah.
But in terms of the game, the Xavier Thomas return right after, to score a touchdown and respond that quickly, I think was huge just in terms of the actual result, because you could see, his brother was fucking breaking down. He was crying on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Like during this, LSU was clearly a little bit shook. They scored on the next or they scored on that play, and then Xavier Thomas immediately returns it for a touchdown. So it kind of settled the game back down in a sense where it's like, all right, let's get back to football. Which I just thought was huge momentum.
That was a huge play for him at that moment, because it kind of got everybody out. So when you go through injuries like that, man, people forget the human side of it in the sense that if you're not on the field, it's hard. You're just watching from the stands. But when you're on the field and something like that happens, and then all of a sudden it's basically we move them off the field as graphic as something like that is, and it's, hey, back to it, right? So for you to kind of make a little joke and kind of get you back on track right then and right there, it's huge, because it almost kind of puts, as wild as this sounds, it puts something like that kind of in the rear view, and you kind of forget what the hell just happened 5 minutes ago, legit 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, it's
That's what I'm saying. I think that was huge for LSU just in terms of a mental capacity to be there's 7 points, because I feel like Nussmeier's a very emotional player, and he was probably thinking about it. If you're anybody on LSU, you were thinking about it. You saw the reaction, and then for it just to be boom, snap, touchdown. It's oh, okay. Mm-hmm. That's something to celebrate now, as opposed to still thinking about this 3 and out.
Right.
And still Baylor scored on the next possession a field goal, but it wasn't nearly as dire as LSU giving the ball back up.
And look, Wes Weeks came in, I think he made 7 tackles.
He played with his hair on fire.
Yeah, right. And so, it just.
And it doesn't count towards his eligibility.
Right, and those types of guys, those types of players.
Do you think he would have burned his eligibility?
Probably.
For his brother? If he had
Probably.
to?
They wouldn't have made him if it was.
No, they would. Well, I'm just saying.
They wouldn't have asked him if it was going to burn it. But that type of mentality and those types of players is needed on teams, right? That's something that we feel like over the last few years that we haven't really had, right? And so to see that and to kind of build on that and have multiple guys like that, that's a good thing to have moving forward.
Can I ask a stupid question?
Of course.
Oh, yeah. We love those.
Yeah, I'm good at them.
By the way, Oregon scored a 2-point conversion right before half. Last play of half. Did you bet it?
I got 23 and a half. I'm very comfortable.
Oh, you're there.
Yeah, right back in it.
You're right back in it.
What weeks? 18 next year?
What's that?
That's my stupid question.
What weeks? I would imagine, right? I would imagine he's going to be 18. I mean, there's no one else that really fits that mentality.
More.
I mean, Nuss ain't
I can
taking
see
18. You know what I mean? Like,
Whoa. You could do duel?
I mean, they do a duel, right? They've done.
I would
before.
like for Nuss to get out of 13. It feels just bad juju.
He ain't getting 18. 13's his number.
Why does it feel like bad juju?
13's just, it's one of those. I mean, there's a reason it's not in hotels. Like, there's no 13th floor in a lot of hotels in New Orleans.
What does that have? What does that have to do with football?
He says it's a bad luck number.
bad luck.
That's what he's saying. It's a bad luck number.
I think, and I think,
I get it, but
I think him and
can we?
I think Nuss and 18 would make a lot of sense. Also, you can have a one on one side, one on the other. Nuss has earned it.
Oh God, please don't do the double number.
No doubt,
Good God, I hate
but
the double
but
number.
Nuss ain't. Nuss
Okay,
ain't
so
getting
now
18.
you have to pick one
Witt.
over Nuss.
I just don't think Nuss is going to change it. So I think Witt's going to would take 18. Could take 18. I mean, there's really no one
I'll
else.
put it on the poll.
There's really no one else
Nuss.
outside of those two.
Yeah, double.
You're not giving double. I don't believe you're giving double. But no, I'm very.
I hate the double number.
Yeah, I'm very
Why
excited.
do you hate the double numbers?
I'm very excited on how they
I'm
played
off.
moving forward. I'm glad that we can now take a step back and say, okay, now let's just watch football. I don't have to talk about it. Now, the portal season is going to happen again after the bowl games, right? After all these games are done. So I'd imagine LSU is going to have some more. Football's going to have some more work to do as far as guys they're going to bring in. I think they're at 14. I would imagine they probably only going to take a few more at max, maybe one, maybe three. I don't know how many, but it can't be much more than that. I would assume. Have you heard anything new on that?
I've heard they're very much in play for an offensive tackle.
They got one. Another one?
Another one.
Okay.
And I think they want him.
Tyree Adams looked good.
He did.
He's a monster,
That's one thing
dude.
we didn't talk about during the game. That offensive line wasn't bad.
No, well, Sam Acho. I hate Sam Acho.
I think it's Emmanuel.
No, it was Sam at the
was
game.
Sam.
That's Sam.
That was Sam.
Both Achos.
Yeah, that was Sam.
I'm not a fan of both Achos.
But you're not going to Thanksgiving?
No. But Sam Acho just doesn't seem like he loves. It's just every time that there was something to be said, like his partner, I don't know who was calling the game with him, but was basically saying, oh, offensive line's been holding up well. And then Sam Acho goes, yeah, well, you got to put some context in it. Basically saying that Baylor's not known for rushing the quarterbacks and getting after the quarterbacks. Hey, bro, like, it's a whole new offensive line, dude. Like, they're not getting to him, so they should be able to take advantage of a young offensive line, but they're not getting to him, so they're doing a good job. They're holding up. Like, I don't know. He just not a huge.
You didn't like it. That's what you're trying to
No,
tell me.
I didn't
You
love
wasn't a
that.
big fan.
Didn't love that.
You don't love his comments.
Don't love his comments. Don't like the way he frames things. And not even just about LSU. Really about most of the things he talks about.
Well, if you didn't if you didn't like his commentary, you should have watched the watch party.
I should have. I was not in a spot to control the remote where I was at, though. It was not
4,000 views. I don't need them. It's okay.
That was not
Didn't need one
my.
more.
We forgot to mention. This has nothing to do with LSU, but we forgot to mention this. Travis Hunter, in his Heisman speech, had no idea who Lil Wayne is. Now he's signed with Lil Wayne's sports agency.
My tinfoil hat is.
He goes, I didn't know Lil Wayne.
So,
6
And then
foot,
all of a
7
sudden,
foot.
now all of a sudden you're,
His girlfriend.
now
showed it.
I'm listening to you before the games, and now he's signed with Lil Wayne's sports agency, which
And
I
he
didn't even know Lil Wayne had a Young Money sports agency. Didn't know he had one.
Well, and he was just at the Heisman.
Lil Wayne?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
It's all because of his girlfriend. Finally, somebody should show her some love.
Yeah,
Well, I think a lot of people
Dion
show her
had
love.
nothing to do with that.
A lot of people have shown her love. It seems like.
Okay, that's very mean. She's not there, and she doesn't do that anymore.
Oh,
You know?
she's reformed.
She's reformed. She doesn't
Changed.
have her OnlyFans
She's been
anymore.
rebaptized.
She got her trophy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's her
Trophy husband.
Yep, no doubt. All right, back to the LSU game, or whatever other game, any other game that you want to talk about. Did you watch the game last night? You watched the Boise State
Who's
Penn. Did y'all watch the Boise State Penn State game?
Yes.
yeah.
Dude,
yes.
that Penn State tight end's a baller.
He's not.
Not a baller.
No, he's not Brock Bowers. But people are trying to make him out to be like the best tight end of all time. He's good on Penn State.
I think he's good anywhere.
Yeah, he'll be like, what? Tyler Eifert? Zach Ertz?
Nah. I think he's going to turn into an absolute dog at the pro
me
level,
too.
to be honest with you.
Me too, dude.
I saw a video of him playing basketball, and I was
Yeah.
just kind of
shit.
bought into
Yeah.
it.
I need to see that then.
Yeah.
Thought he was just a...
No. He's not a big bruiser, dude.
Okay.
Because he wears the 44, the long hair.
Yeah.
You think that he's like, oh, this guy's just like a...
Yeah,
no.
The uniform.
He looks like Billingsley from Friday Night Lights.
Billingsley, party at Taylor's house.
That's it. That's it.
That's the scooteroo.
Obviously a lot better than him. But he is the real deal, dude. He is a stud.
I just think he's the most athletic white on a team full of white people.
Yeah. Drew Aller announced
Aller.
he's coming. Drew Aller has announced he's coming back to school, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to the draft. There's no quarterbacks entering the draft except for Carson
Carson
Beck.
Beck.
Which, listen, great for him. He's positioned himself right at the top of the draft because nobody's going. Good for him. Will Howard will be at the top of the draft. Or as far as quarterbacks go, I don't know where he's going to get drafted.
Ugh.
Could this be a year where like only one quarterback's drafted in the first round?
No, it'll take two. It'll be Shadur and Cam.
Oh yeah.
Those
I
two
forgot.
for sure.
I forgot.
Yeah.
I forgot about those two. Duh. Yeah, those two will be out. But,
No, but the third one will be interesting.
yeah, like, are they going to draft
Fourth
another
round,
one?
I wouldn't take Carson Beck at any point.
It's gonna be somebody. It's gonna be somebody.
Like, is he better than Spencer Rattler was in college?
Talent-wise, I don't think so. It's gonna be somebody. I don't think that's it's from like a smaller school that we're not really thinking of. I bet someone that like has been good, but like hasn't been on like one of these like premier teams, and goes out there, and then everybody starts showing film, and they start seeing like, oh damn, this guy's
they're
really
gonna
good.
somebody's gonna have the Will Levis rise, to where you don't know really if it's a fringe.
Well, yeah, there's always going to be a riser, but I am wondering this
A
year, like,
Cam?
are we going to see like if there's a lot of other guys like position player guys who actually start popping because this is the year of the running back. There's a ton of running backs that are good ball players this year, and what you've seen happen at the pro level this year with the running back. I'm not saying they're all going to be first rounders and stuff, but what I am saying is like. Once the draft and the combine and the pro days come around and some of these other position player guys, because there isn't just a bunch of quarterbacks that we already know the name of that we feel are locked and loaded. Like we knew at this point last year, we knew like, hey, because they keep talking up somebody like J.J. McCarthy, there's like 5 or 6 guys that could possibly be first rounders. And it ended up being pretty much that. Right now, we thought that before the year, and the way things have kind of gone is those names have kind of fallen off. So now I'm wondering, like, hey, with the way these running backs have played around the country, if there's some other guys who start popping at pro days and all of the combine days and all of that stuff too, are these quarterbacks that are not the 1 and 2 right now, the consensus 1 and 2, do they start falling a little bit? Do they start finding their way into the second and or third round? Because some of these other spots are kind of there. Now, look, I get it. Everybody needs. There's always going to be a run on quarterback. But will this be the year where we don't see 5 of them, or I won't say 5, where we don't see like 3+ in the first round?
Right. I mean, I think so. I mean, I haven't looked at the actual like who's in the draft and who's not in the draft, but I mean, outside of Cam Ward and outside of Shedeur Sanders, you don't really have.
You have Dylan Gabriel, Carson Beck.
But I don't see Dylan Gabriel as a first-round quarterback.
Me either.
I don't see
No, but I'm
Carson
just saying
Beck
people
as
that are in the draft.
right. Okay.
Right? So you would assume – I don't know what Jalen Milroe is going to do after that performance.
Boy, let's get to that real quick before you get there. That was awful by Alabama. And Michigan wasn't doing anything offensively. Michigan wasn't really doing – Alabama was just –
How y'all like my new offense?
Awful.
Michigan could have kneeled it down for second,
Michigan had
third,
like
and fourth quarter.
Michigan had like didn't have a ton of yards offensively. They got up to a 16-0 lead.
They couldn't have a ton of yards. They had the ball in plus territory every time they got it the first half.
Yeah, it was awful.
Anytime they had to drive, they punted.
Who?
Michigan. Anytime
Yeah.
they had to move plus,
Yeah,
like you're right, because they did get it in plus territory like the entire first half.
And
they still
put it back in
mustered.
the locker room at that point.
Yeah.
When they were getting the rock at.
And they still they scored 19 points the entire game. Like that thing should have been 28, 31, 35, nothing. And they're like, no, we just gonna squat on it. And then it got close, and it started to rain out of nowhere in the first quarter, like torrential. And that just threw the whole thing off.
16-0 in the first quarter. And then
they scored 3 more points after that.
In the fourth quarter.
When they had to.
They had to
I'm wondering if Jalen Milroe is like making a bid to try to have 3 years playing against LSU and 12 touchdowns. Like that's, It'd be hard it's hard for me to believe that he's going to go anywhere near what he was looked at to start the year after how the second half of this year went. So it's like it almost makes sense for him to kind of go back to school and go ahead and run it back and try to play it again.
No doubt. I think he has to go back to school.
I don't think Alabama wants him back.
I'm looking at his stats right now. 16 of 32 in the game for 192 yards, a touchdown. Yeah. 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 26 QBR, right? He had 16 carries. How many yards do I think he had?
Was this sack adjusted?
I don't know. Maybe.
If it's college football, then yes. So it's probably 5 yards.
7 yards, right? Which I don't know exactly what he had after the sacks, but
he still got sacked.
He lost 2 fumbles.
Yeah.
So he's turned the ball over 3 times.
Not a fumble. The knuckleball, the second one?
Yeah, I didn't see the second one.
It was crazy.
But yeah, man, they weren't running the ball well at all as a team. 29 rushes for 68. Michigan's defense is good though. Wink Martindale that's the only thing they can do is play defense. You know what I mean?
I appreciate Wink Martindale, but I would, if I'm an Alabama fan, I'd start to my ears are burning a little bit. I'd start to be a little concerned about the product you're putting on the football field. Like LSU could beat that Michigan team.
Yeah, offensively, I think, yeah.
So I don't know who else they have on the roster.
I'm sure they got somebody there.
I'm sure they'll get
yeah.
But Jalen Moreau, I don't think that's who.
Damn. So he's going to start for 3. He won't start again. You don't think?
I think he's going to go to a different team.
You think he's going to transfer?
Yeah. Him and probably Quinn Ewers.
You think Jalen Milroe's transferring?
Yeah.
I don't.
I think if you put him in the right system.
I don't at all.
Well, dude, I mean, what better system than this guy's system who had a first-round quarterback from Washington?
I just don't think it's...
where are you getting this transfer thought from? I'm confused on that one.
You think he goes to the draft?
I think he comes back.
No, I think he's back there again. Yeah.
I don't think they... from the Alabama contingency that I know, which is one Hunter Hall, big fan of the show, but he's also, invested as the word around Alabama and their collective is we're good.
Well, they don't. But what do you mean they're collective?
They're not going to make an offer for him to cut. There's not going to be an NIL deal.
So who do they have right now? There's nobody to get. That's who they gonna get?
Maybe they want Ewers.
Just not happening.
I don't know, but on different news, Cam Scatterbo named offensive MVP of the Peach Bowl.
In a loss, huh?
In a loss.
What?
Oh, God. Okay.
The legend continues.
No.
He did kind of stuff up the stat sheet a little bit. I'm not gonna lie to you.
No, he did. He had a badass game.
A little bit.
I can't. I mean, he sold his soul.
Who?
That's as good. Scatterbo.
Oh, did he?
That's as good as you can play in a game.
Yeah.
He threw a touchdown. He had 100 yards receiving. He had almost 200 yards rushing. He might as well lined up and kicked the extra point. He couldn't have done more.
Did y'all see Shane Beamer and Brett Bielema get into it?
Yeah, what was that about?
I have no idea.
No, speak on that.
I have no idea. So apparently, in the middle of the game, Bielema there's an injury for a South Carolina player.
No, it was
for an Illinois player,
mm-hmm.
and Bielema went out there, and then Bielema made some gesture taunting.
He did the substitution sign.
Yeah, why?
Apparently, so I did look into this a little bit.
Okay, thank you. I don't know.
I thought it was interesting, but I didn't get an actual answer. But Shane Beamer was fucking fired up.
He came off the sidelines right into his face.
Yeah, so apparently it was Bielema did the substitution sign at him, and he thought, in his post-game presser, he talks about it, and he said he thought it was about they did a trick play on a return where I guess they did a late substitution to put the one, Nick Harbor, almost a Tiger, and on special teams as a return guy, and they threw it back to him. I don't know if it was a peekaboo play where it was he's on the field, he's off the play, or it was a late substitution to where Syracuse couldn't or Illinois couldn't substitute in time. And so that's maybe why he did it. But, dude, your own player's hurt. This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I don't know.
But Shane Beamer didn't like it.
Did not like it. Went right at him. Right at him.
I've never seen coach beef like that.
It's been an interesting bowl season for the SEC. South Carolina, hot team. team that people thought arguably like playing the best in the country, lose their bowl game to Illinois, who they're favored by I think 9 points. Alabama was favored by 16 points against Michigan. They lose. Vanderbilt wins. Then you got Ole Miss as the other team that was supposed to, be one of those top teams in the SEC and had an argument maybe to sneak in. They're playing, I think, tomorrow, right? I believe they play tomorrow in Jacksonville. So we'll see what happens. But LSU, Vanderbilt wins. Who else played?
Alabama has Duncanville quarterback Keelan Russell committed 5-star.
Man, Duncanville's a wagon.
They shouldn't lose a football game.
I mean,
Colin Simmons,
Caden Durham,
the receiver at Oregon, Moore, and Keelan Russell all on the same team.
And another one, right? I thought there was one more. Is that the receiver that you said?
Yeah, DeCorian Moore.
DeCorian Moore.
The 5-star.
Is he playing at Oregon?
That'll be he's still in high school.
Oh, he's still in high school.
And so is Keelan Russell. So they ran it back and won the state title.
Yeah, of course.
But last year they had.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, the year before they had Caden Durham, Keelan Russell, Colin Simmons, and DeCorian Moore all on the same team. Like, what do you do?
That works.
Yeah, what do you do?
That plays. Yeah, that plays a little bit.
What do you do?
We can do a little bit with that. We got a chance.
I could coach that team.
Ain't the worst. Just put the ball out there and just call plays.
We got a chance.
You just got to call something, like a play. Y'all, go ahead. On 2.
Yeah, that's a talented team. But yeah, but they don't want a freshman playing quarterback.
Well, it would be that's kind of why I brought it up, because it would be an exact like juxtaposition of what's going on in college football. I was talking about this with my cousin who was in town. It's like the carousel of college quarterbacking is the funniest thing that's happening in sports.
Wild.
Because it's almost impossible to recruit the position, because if you do grab a 5-star and you're not guaranteed to start because we're going to go in the portal because we want to win right now.
Right.
And so you're going to get another 5-star that was waiting at somebody else's school. And I was like, well, I'm not going to sit another year. And now it becomes this whole turnstile of trying to find a quarterback, and then the one that you recruited is the one that ends up leaving. The only way that you can do this correctly is what Michigan is doing. Like, you find somebody that you believe is generational, and you'll sit through 1 year of losing if your team isn't ready, or 1 year of growing pains with Bryce Underwood, but you get him for 3. So you have to absolutely identify one of the most talented people that rarely happens, but they're going to want to play now.
Well, so Colorado's doing it, right, where they got the Juju Smith or whatever. I don't know what his last name is. Lewis, right?
Julian Lewis, yeah.
Julian Lewis. He's number 2 quarterback. He signs, but they got they got a transfer quarterback going in there to play before him anyway.
And now he's considering leaving.
Is he?
Yeah, that was the first thing that's the first person that talked about it was Julian Lewis.
I thought he was like, I mean, I saw an interview the other day. I thought they were like,
no, he was, because during the commitment on the McAfee show, he's like, I want to go in somewhere where I can play immediately and play now. And then they went and got a quarterback out the portal. And he's like, that was news to me.
Yeah. Well, beat him out. If you're better than him, you'll play. I can promise you, if you're better than him, Deion's gonna play you.
That's the thing.
And that's the thing, though. All these kids, and it's a crazy point because you're bringing it up, but all these kids, they all want to go to a winner because wins is directly tied to quarterbacks, no matter if it's right, wrong, or indifferent. It is the actual reality of what goes on. So if these wins are tied to quarterbacks, I want to go to a school where I can win. Well, there's only so many of those that are doing it on a high clip year in and year out. So there's probably good quarterbacks there. So if I'm going to go there, I probably got to sit. But, oh, shit, I don't want to sit. So now I want to probably go to a different school. It is a mess. Especially when it comes to that position.
Yeah, because if you look at it from the coach's perspective, like, I have to win right now, so I can't win with the freshman. I don't have time to wait. You should wait. And he's like, well, I'm going to go somewhere else. He's like, well, we'll pluck Dylan Gabriel from the portal, who's a 5th-year quarterback. Like, that's the world that you live in. Oklahoma tried to play it straight and be like, actually, we're going to ship Dylan Gabriel out of town and play the 5-star. And now Arnold, who you tried to play and you didn't win with, now he's in the portal. Now you don't have a quarterback.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a wild.
And Venables is on the hot seat.
And listen, and meanwhile,
as a defensive coach,
yeah,
it's crazy.
Meanwhile, LSU's got a 5th-year quarterback coming back who waited his turn, came back, and then they go get another quarterback who started as a true freshman who says, "I'm good being a backup for a year. Let me redshirt. Let me be the next guy."
He's playing it right,
which is like out of all the other things, like that's actually like after they lost the top quarterback in the country, then you feel like, oh, maybe they're playing it the right way. Maybe they're like, hey, we're not going to have to rely on a true freshman because we've seen it. I mean, there's not many true freshman quarterbacks go out there and they succeed right away. I mean, unless they have an outstanding defense like Tennessee did. But then you saw what happened when they played, Ohio State.
Yeah, put them on the road in the winter.
Tough.
Like, name a true freshman quarterback that's done it.
I don't even think it had to do anything with the winter, too. I mean, like, obviously, that didn't help. Let's just go ahead and be honest about that part of it as well. But go ahead and look at Tennessee's schedule this year and go look at where their losses were this year. I think that has everything to do with being a freshman. Winter and warm, it doesn't really matter.
Road.
Yeah.
Yep. Like, they even asked Tebow to do that. Like, Chris Leak was the mainstay of that offense, and then Tebow came in little packages.
Right.
Go ask Stafford how that went his freshman year.
Right. They celebrated that man. They held a parade for the Matt Stafford.
For him making it through the 12th.
Yeah. I don't know how much of a package LSU is going to have for Van Buren.
None.
I don't think they shouldn't have a package. I think he's there as the backup this year. Hopefully, they're hoping they could redshirt him. They're hoping he can be a redshirt freshman going into next year, competing for the starting job.
I think he'll be a redshirt sophomore. He redshirted this year. He played 4 games. No.
No,
yeah,
he started.
You're right.
He was a true freshman this year.
But then you're still in the gambit of where's Colin Hurley go?
No, right.
That's competition. But then
that's
one's going to
competition.
leave.
Well, then that's fine. That's fine.
And then you go pick up somebody else at the portal that's willing to be maybe wait a year. This is the real way to do it. LSU might be playing it right.
No doubt. Like AJ Swan was just a backup. He wasn't ever going to start. But
we saw what happened.
Right. But a guy who's like, okay, I can actually, I've had some experience. But that's. You're going to have now you have a guy who's a talented quarterback, came in there, has some experience. He's going to redshirt, be in the system for a year, and you're going to have Colin Hurley, who's still only 17 years old. Let's just get that out there, right? Like, he's still young. He's a senior in high school as a freshman. He redshirted, so he's going to be a redshirt freshman next year. Maybe he's better, and maybe he beats out Van Buren, and he is the backup, right? Like, that very well could happen.
I think they'll both stay for next year.
Oh, for sure.
And then it'll be competition. Then after you lose that competition, one will leave.
Whenever they're gone, whenever Nuss leaves, they're the competition. And then you bring in the kid, hopefully from Dunham. And then...
Well, that's an interesting conversation to have.
Yeah, I know. I heard that was...
Oh, where's that going?
He had an A&M flag on during the... Like, his towel was Texas A&M during the state championship game. But it's also the... This is going back.
It fits their colors.
Yeah, but it's going back to the Bryce Underwood theory of, oh, wait, is that the best player in the country? Let's go buy him. And LSU clearly can't compete in that market of 15 because what's it going to be in 2 years?
Right. Well,
if it was 15 million.
Well, and that's in 2 years.
Bryce has a lot to do with it's going to be in 2 years. I can tell you that. Like if Bryce goes out and balls this year, you might as well just go ahead and blow that number out of the water.
No doubt. Or if they have a, if they whatever that ruling is happening, if that ends up lowering some of that, I don't know. But yeah, Bryce Underwood, the situation with him is going to be.
Yeah, you might see Elijah Haven to Michigan, if that goes well.
No, I think Elijah Haven is going to stay. I think he's going to get paid by some other school.
Well, that's right. Okay, or highest bidder.
Right.
Like, because if that
if it goes south,
then
you're like, we can't give $12 million. We can't give 30th overall pick money in the NFL to a high school kid.
Right. But if it goes good, then the Elijah Haven suite, like, you're actually kind of rooting for like Bryce Underwood to fail.
I mean, look, these guys everybody's wondering, like, man, why are all these guys not going to the NFL? Because they're getting paid more money than they would get paid.
Yeah, welcome one Harold Perkins
if it's
back
not
to LSU.
Well, yeah, or like all these quarterbacks that are getting paid 2.5. I mean, Nuss getting paid a bunch of money coming back to school, right? Which good for him. He finally earned it, right? He probably hadn't gotten paid as much as he probably needed to this year, and he didn't need it. But now he's kind of getting due what he's earned. But
turns out LSU is like really cheap.
I think they're getting better at that.
It turns out
seems like they're getting better at that. But I mean, those guys are all turning down going into the NFL, coming back to college from 1 year. Oh yeah, I mean, I'm king of the campus. I'm on a team that wants to win. I'm also getting paid millions of dollars to go to school here. Yeah, let me do that one more year.
School.
Let me go do that one more year.
5th year senior school.
Let me do that one more year. I'm good with that.
Why do you think Matt Leinart took ballroom dancing?
Right? I mean, I would have come back for my senior year if they gave me